I'm about to flip open the dictionary to a random word, and let's see if that's going to be a theme of these stories. I don't know. I haven't seen them yet. The word is mitigate. Oh, mitigate. That's pretty good. To cause to become less harsh or hostile. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to be mitigating these here Reddit stories because we are doing AITAH, otherwise known as Am I the Asshole? So let's mitigate with the first story, AITA for leaving my wife after buying another animal without talking to me about it. All right, your wife has brought a living creature into the house, included responsibility, a surprise microphone, and hasn't consulted you about it. Let's see. My wife, 32 female, bought a dog while I was at work. Oh, it's a dog. So not just a normal animal. A freaking dog, dude? Say, little dog do you, little dog do you, little dog do you right now. Little dog do you, little dog do you, little dog do you right now. Little dog do you, little dog do you, little dog do you right now. Little dog do you, little dog do you, little dog do you right now. Little dog do you. Anyway, but generally speaking, yeah, getting a dog without consulting your partner first, a bad idea, okay? Even though a little dog do you, little dog do you. My wife, 32-year-old female, bought a dog while I was at work. She'd been wanting to get a dog for years, but with our current financial and living situation, it isn't reasonable and wouldn't be fair to the animals we already have. My wife, 3 stepdaughters, and I are currently staying at my sister's house while we get back on our feet. Oh my God. You, your wife, 3 stepdaughters, that's 5 human beings, are staying at your sister's house, that's 6 human beings. You have 3 cats, that's 9 living creatures in this house, and a ferret, which kind of stink, but they're cute. They're cute little animals. Sometimes ferrets and cats don't get along. So that's 10 living creatures, 6 of them human, 3 of them cats with litter, okay? I have 2 cats, and I live for the most part, by myself. There's a lot of cleanup involved. But with 6 people, it's you and your 3 cats. It's your group of 5 plus 3, you're 8. You know, and you're staying with your sister? Oh, God. We have 3 cats and a ferret. The ferret was recently bought without me getting involved in the decision as well. The 3rd cat I was guilted into keeping after one of my stepdaughters found it outside. I work for Walmart, and my wife is my sister's caregiver, making around $150 a week, so neither of us make much. Plus, with the way her children act, fighting at school, cursing out teachers, not doing their schoolwork, and constant backtalk and disrespect, I feel we have enough on our plate as it is. Ha! You know what? Maybe a dog would fix that situation. We even recently had a discussion about getting a dog once the kids were grown and after we were in a better situation financially, which she agreed on. Then I got a text while at work saying she got a surprise and to not be mad with a picture of the dog. Initially, I was upset, but I just asked her to keep the dog out of our room. Her response was, "It's my dog and he's staying in our room." That's so weird. Don't muscle your wants into inconveniencing everybody else's life. You know what I mean? Like, if you're married, you have a partner, you're married to your partner, you gotta respect their opinions. If you consistently show that you don't respect their opinions, the things that they want, if you're surprised, like if they're like, "Please, we can't get a dog right now." Okay, I'm going to get us a dog. Please, can you not keep the dog inside? No, we're going to bring the dog inside. It's my dog. It's in the. You're smothering other people's autonomy. You're smothering their autonomy, their ability to make decisions. Just because you're married doesn't mean you have full reign over your spouse. So after she said, "It's my dog and he's staying in our room," Op replied with, "That completely pissed me off to the point that I packed my bags and left." Her reasoning, because of course there's 2 sides to every story, she's tired of doing only what I want. She lives there too, so she should be able to get a dog. I'm a narcissist. I gaslight her. We only do what I want. AITA for leaving. You know, we only do what you want is about like the restaurants you go to or the shows you watch or the food that you make for dinner or how you spend your free time or what you do on the weekends or what trips you go on or what kind of car you buy. It's not a snap judgment decision on which animal we're bringing home. You don't surprise somebody in a household of 10 already or 9 already to bring another animal home and be like, "A little dog will do that." And that's probably the song that was going on in this lady's brain when she was shopping for pooches, dude. Tempting as it is. You don't surprise your spouse with a pet. You don't, unless it's been talked about. Things have to be talked about, you know? Yeah, if your spouse at all, your husband, your wife, just disregards what you're talking about, doesn't respect the things that you're saying, and they act completely opposite, then they don't respect you. They don't, they think that you're there as decoration in their life. And if your reasonable requests are perceived by them as you getting in their way, you're not in a partnership. You're in somebody's orbit. You're just around. You're not their partner. And that's not good. You don't want to be attached to that. That's not what you want. She has like a childlike instant gratification need. And it's strange. And her kids suck too. Not to shots fired here, but kids suck a little bit too. And the fact that neither of you make much is like, why bring on more financial burden? Top comment here says, who the hell buys and gets pets while living in someone else's house? NTA. Plus, only making $150 a week with her husband working at Walmart. I know they don't pay it all that well unless you're in management. This is ridiculous. I am all for pets. I have a cat, but if you're living with other people, especially a partner, this is a joint decision, not a unilateral one. I admire her wanting to adopt. It's just that you need to be able to take care of them, and that costs money, which you clearly don't have. Someone else commented that they weren't sure the animals were being taken care of properly, and I agree. Oh, don't forget, she already has children, by which his description are hers and not his. So man is breaking his back, caring for her and her children, and what is becoming a zoo in the making, NTA and poor op. LOL. Yeah. Pay attention to your surroundings, my guy. Are there other signals that she doesn't respect what you're into? Like, is it just this animal thing? What else is it? I'm sure there's symptoms of her not listening to you or respecting your opinions at all. This sounds like a break from everything you didn't cause, LMAO. You should work to get yourself an apartment, get yourself together, and see if you even enjoy living that way. It just seems like she's going to keep adding more to your pile until you break. Best to leave now before she wants another kid, or you're stuck in your sister's house forever. Yeah, and she's inconveniencing your sister. It's not your wife's sister. I swear when my adult child gets stressed, they get another animal. 3 dogs, 4 cats, 6 humans, and a 1,200 square foot home. I will never understand people who just impulsively buy pets like that. It sounds like it's not necessarily the dog. It might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, though. Sorry, bro, that sucks. I would have been out at the ferret. They do stink. They do smell a little bit. They smell very rodenty. NTA, she'd rather sleep with a dog than sleep with you. Stay out and start divorce proceedings. Maybe see if any of your coworkers are looking for a roommate until you get on your feet. You'll never get financially or emotionally stable with her. And that's the thing, right? There's a phrase, which is love is not enough. And it just talks about like some I's you got to dot and T's you got to cross for you to be happy in life with your partner. Okay. You can love somebody. You can think they're super attractive, but that's not enough. When you get old enough, you realize that is not enough. There are other things you need to be happy in life. Love is not enough. I'm sorry. It's not. And this is a prime example of you're signing up for a miserable time. And I'm not saying marriage should be fair weather or whatever, but just do your best to remedy the situation as best as you can. You don't make money though, so it's not like you can go to couples therapy or anything. That's not an option. Yeah, I don't know. Try to get on your feet. Do what you can to make more money if possible, or, while you're away from all these responsibilities, pick up more shifts, save some coin, figure out what you can do for yourself. And, God bless you. Good luck to you. AITAH for telling my sister she gets pregnant too much. We have a English second language tag here, so let's read. Hi, I'm Elise, 29 female, and I have a sister. Let's just call her Grace, 36-year-old female. Grace has always been the child my parents mostly favored. She gets all the good stuff, and I get her hand-me-downs. Grace dropped out of high school to become a mom at 19, and now she has 4 kids, and she just announced a new kid is coming. All right, about to have a 5th kid. It's a lot. Good health, big family, When I graduated college, I started to earn small from an outsourcing company. Eventually, I earned enough tenure that I am now a virtual assistant. And since the exchange of dollars is big in my country, I earn a lot of money. Borderline middle class to upper class. And when Grace and my parents found out about this, they started to depend on me financially, especially Grace. It started from small things like clothes, money for bottles and milk, until it got to absurd requests like paying for the baby's baptism, milestone shoots, milestone shoots? Like photo shoots for your baby's milestone? Like what? First can of Dr. Pepper? Your baby doing his first keg stand? 2 years old? With a non-alcoholic beer? Actually, I'm curious, can you legally serve your child non-alcoholic beer? That's something Does the non-alcoholic nature of it make it okay? Can a kid buy non-alcoholic beer? Is that legal? We might be onto something. Non-alcoholic beer for kids. make it taste just like soda, and maybe market it as soda. All right. Birthday parties and eventually their tuition for early level education. Grace would treat me as an ATM and even have me pay the caregiver she hired while she gossips and goes out to the club. She out there clubbing? Pregnant with a fifth baby? At first, I just did it because I earn a lot for myself and still have some left for savings. But recently, I finally got a contract on a housing company here. It's a village town house, a bit small, but enough for someone like me who's going to live alone. So I told Grace that I'm not going to give her money anymore because you're trying to make a better life for yourself. That makes sense. Because I took out a housing loan and it's going to dent my salary for a while. She said, "That's fine. At least you'll give us permanent housing. I can finally live in the city and find a job." I told her that wasn't the case and I'm going to live there. She started shouting at me, calling me selfish and an ingrate. She said I have no regards for my family and I'm just a money-hungry B-word. So I told her, even if I'm a B-word, at least I don't collect baby daddies like their Pokemons. That's what's up. All right, you better clap back now. You better clap back, Elise. And that she keeps on spreading her legs to random guys, but she can't find the time to use her skills to secure a job. Damn! You've had that locked and loaded for a minute, dude. She left the room sobbing and crying, and everyone in the family is mad at me, and my phone hasn't stopped ringing from distant relatives who want to give me a lecture. So did I go too far? AITA, and then edit. For the people who want to call me fake because everyone is mad, try living in an Asian household, specifically where it's religion-driven. That should tell you enough. You know, depending on where you're from and where you live, the culture is you take care of your group. You take care of your family. You know, in a lot of Asian countries, Asian society, like your mom and dad live with you. You take care of them in their older age, and that's the thing, right? That's a whole thing that you got to account for. So I don't know. By American standards, this is very much like case closed kind of a thing. But I don't understand the minutia and the culture of where you come from. So I think the clapback was surely deserved. You know, she called you the B word, so you just retaliated. I think you're good to stand your ground. And if you're a virtual assistant, you're probably dealing with a lot of Americans or people in the Western world who have those Western values, and maybe there's like a clash of culture now, to where your family expects one thing and they're used to this one thing where it's all of us are working together to raise this family. And so if any of us is making more money than the other, then we're responsible. Maybe that's what's going on over there. Yeah, I don't know. But I think the clapback was totally deserved. And I think, from my American experience, I think you did the right thing. But I don't live where you live. I don't know what the culture is like over there, and I don't know what's appropriate. But of course, let us take a look at the comments. Let's see what people have to say. NTA, but please stop being a doormat and spend money on yourself. Not supporting your family who use you without any respect. NTA, tell the distant relatives that you appreciate them stepping up to serve as Grace's ATM in her time of need. Yeah, this is very American response, right? This is something that would happen out here. It's don't treat me like a bank. Don't treat me like an ATM. Learn from this. Do not share your finances with your family or anyone else, as they have shown you that they will use that knowledge to take what you have earned. It sucks too, because you're trying to get a house. You're trying to get a townhouse for yourself. You're making enough money to where that's what you can do, and it's going to put a dent in your salary, and your sister automatically is like, "Hey, that's mine now." What? No, it's not. Here we go. This commenter said, NTA, but seriously, why are you allowing your family to treat you as their personal ATM? That's messed up. Cut them off and let them fend for themselves. They're not your responsibility. Live your life and spend your money on you. The reply here says, in some cultures, this is the norm. Money is spread between family members like water, rather than each person earning and spending their own money. One of my friends had 8 people all sharing one bank account. We're all saving up for dad to buy a taxi license. And then the reply to that is, that particular example is vastly different. Everyone's saving up towards a specific goal to help someone get on their feet. Fine. What Op is experiencing is financial abuse, and I don't give an F that it is cultural. It's idiotic and toxic, and it has to stop, period. And then the reply to that says, this does tend to be the problem that results from the extreme end of collectivism. Plenty of people do it just fine, but then you have those situations where it's essentially a hive mind, where as soon as you disagree, you get cut off like a gangrenous limb. Yeah, it's just a unanimous NTA here, but I do say that it's, that sucks if it is a cultural thing. That sucks that you're going to have to kind of, you're more, westernized now. You know what I mean? Maybe plan your life around that a little bit, whatever that means for you. I think you now have to draw the line in the sand and figure out the kind of person that you want to be. Which one do you value more? And if you live by your values and you're congruent with your values, then you'll live a happy life. But if you're incongruent with the values that you hold, then you won't be happy. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, next story. Oh, that song rocks, dude. I don't care who you are. That rocks, regardless of culture, right? Am I the a-hole for saying it's genetic about my brother/sister-in-law's baby? My sister-in-law is not the nicest person. She rarely talks to anyone and she doesn't particularly like our family, but she loves my brother. She makes an appearance maybe twice a year and that's it. She has this stare that can make you feel tiny and stupid. According to my mom, her dad has the same stare and is terrifying. They went to school together and my mom is convinced her dad is a psychopath. I wonder why this is blurred. Interesting. Anyway, my brother and sister-in-law have a baby. She's 9 months old and I went to hold her and she gave me the same stare. When she did, I just blurted out, Jesus Christ, it's genetic. I was embarrassed I blurted that out, but I didn't hold the baby and just went to do something else. Apparently my brother is angry about it though and said I'm acting like there's something wrong with their baby just because she looked at me and didn't want me to hold her. Am I the a-hole? No, it's funny. You just, you said what was on your mind. Good God, it's genetic. I mean, if I had a baby and that happened to me, I'd be like, oh man, you think there's something wrong with my baby? I guess I could see him being sensitive about it, right? But it's just funny. This thing is just funny. I want to see what people say. Oh my God, I proper belly laughed at this. Fond memories. One of my twins inherited my resting bee face and stink eye stare. When she was a baby, that's how people told them apart. Whichever was giving them the stink eye was baby number 2. Ha ha ha. This is hilarious. People just think this is so funny. The idea of a baby just being like, my daughter is my absolute double, but there's times where she'll look at me and it's her dad, like she's just put his face on, Nick Cage style. And now she's nearly 7. If you really piss her off with the kind of stupid question only an adult can ask, ! Then you get my mother-in-law's face, which came as a shock at first. But not as much of a shock to my husband when our then 2-year-old said, I will have a cup of tea, in the exact tone and cadence that his grandmother, who died 20 years ago, used to use and that no one had used around her before that point. It's actually the only way we now ask for tea because it's so hilarious how epigenetics works. That's that's so nuts, dude. You just have all these little hidden triggers inside of you. You got all these little hidden skills, these hidden dormant things that pop out from time to time and you're like, damn, is that my father? Is that my grandmother, my grandpa, my grandma, my mom, my dad? Who is that? I apologize for how hard I left at this. Unfortunately, you're the a-hole, but it doesn't sound like you're super close with either of them, so it'll probably blow over. You're the a-hole, unfortunately, but you're also hilarious, so thank you. I think, yeah, that's really funny. It's something Kramer would do. I'm Kramer from Seinfeld. AITA for apparently being the reason my ex's engagement ended. I'm going to say probably no, but let's continue. I, 27-year-old female, have a 6-year-old child with my ex, 29-year-old male. We've been broken up since our child was 1. I have primary custody. My ex sees our child 2 weekends a month. The reason for this is my ex decided he didn't want to give up his whole life to be a parent, and he thinks every other weekend is enough. I should also note he doesn't always take his weekends and has let our child down in the past. Sounds like a great dad. Maybe you should have a dog. 3 years ago, he started dating someone else, and they got engaged in February of this year. Once they were engaged, I started getting calls and texts from an unknown number, and I found out it was his fiance. He had told her I would be open to her coming over and taking my child out for the day, and he gave her my number so we could plan this. He never mentioned it to me, and it took entirely too long for me to figure out what was going on. Why would he not mention that to you? You think co-parenting is like, you can just give some random person the other parent's number and just have them go pick it up on a whim without communicating first? You idiot. Oh my God. Getting a bunch of texts from an unknown number saying, answer the damn phone, call me, I'd like to meet up and figure this out is not something I expected. When I did answer a call from her, she was set on taking my child out for the day and she told me my ex said it was okay. I told her it was not okay and I didn't know her and I wasn't going to hand my child over to someone like that. Then I suggested she make the most of the time my ex has. This was not a popular answer with her. Who cares? That's what the law says. Who cares? That was your custody agreement. I don't care if it's a popular answer with her or not. That's what the law is saying right now. And she had my ex using our co-parenting app to send request after request for me to let his fiance take our child out for the day. My ex told me in July that I was saying no too much and it was ruining his relationship. Last month, his fiance ended their engagement and broke things off with him. She blamed me via text and said she was not going to stay in a hostile environment where she's treated like stranger danger toward the child she's supposed to be the stepmother of. Who are you? Are you marrying him for him or are you trying to be a mom? What's going on? My ex blamed me for this too. Who cares? He accused me of sabotaging his relationship and chasing away potential stepmothers from our child's life. I told him I did not give a damn about his relationships. What I cared about is having someone I don't know feeling entitled to take my child from my home. Then I pointed out he was the reason she believed she could in the first place. Yes! If you, sir, communicated with your ex about the co-parenting thing and suggested like, it'd be really cool if we added another day a week if possible. Maybe we could go back to that or like whatever, or there's a special thing coming up or a special weekend trip. We'd love to take the kid. Do that. Like do be cordial, but just suddenly bombarding this person, from an unknown number is like, you dummy, this could have been so much simpler. This could have been fine. You don't seem like a real winner though. You know what I mean? Instead of just moving on and accepting what happened, he's telling everyone I broke them up. Who cares? Some of his buddies are quick to say something when they see me. Like what? What are they going to say? Oh, look who showed up. The lady who kept her kid. I think most people see it as BS because he's not a very involved father to begin with. Good. I did have a mom friend in a mom group I'm part of tell me I kind of did sabotage his relationship because the woman he was with was trying to know my child and I didn't let her. She said I had no reason to say no like I did once I knew who was texting and calling and what she wanted. This turned into a small fight because I asked her if she'd be okay with it and she told me she would. She said most single moms with primary or full custody would love for their kids to have people who want to take care of them. She said it was my ego that made me break them up because I didn't want my child to have a stepmom. Is that the case though? I don't know. Maybe I'm lacking context here. I think it's crazy to blame me, and I think it's also crazy to say I should have agreed to this, but I'm willing to be big enough to ask if I'm wrong and accept if people think I am wrong. So do you think I broke up this relationship? AITA for saying no to her, taking my kid for the day on my parenting time? I am so curious. I don't think so. I think the way they went about it was really stupid. I think that if they went about it a different way and presented like a trip they wanted to go on with the kid or something kid specific that they could involve the child with that makes sense, maybe that's a different story. But what I'm reading gears towards you might not be the a-hole. You do have primary custody. He seems like a deadbeat, and it's good that his, new partner, new wife wants to be involved with the child, but the fact that whether or not she can interact with the child is a make or break relationship. It's a relationship ender for his new thing. It's like, clearly wasn't that strong, NTA, you didn't break them up. His poor relationship skills with you, your child, and his now ex-girlfriend have caused all of this. He is apparently poison in anyone's life. Yeah, I think I'm there with y'all. I was saying no too much and it was ruining his relationship. To rephrase that, the survival of his relationship with his fiance depends on the compliance of a person who is not in any kind of relationship with his fiance. Sure, makes perfect sense. Other people who need to say yes more often so they won't ruin his relationship. His landlord, his boss, his loan officer, the last minute reservations line at his favorite restaurant. She's basically a stranger and he expects you to just hand over your child to her, and then Op replies, she was a stranger. We had not met once when she started texting and calling. She didn't even ID herself when she was doing it, so I'm getting calls and texts from who knows. It could have been a scam for all I knew. Dude, I don't answer my phone if I don't know the number. You could be pest control. You could be somebody that I literally hired to come by and improve something, and I won't answer the phone. I don't even get the call if I don't know what number it is, Let alone handing over a freaking kid, dude. Maybe you should have a dog. Absolutely not. It is super creepy that she was adamant to get the child alone with her. That is not normal. If she left the dad because she couldn't succeed in getting him alone with her, that means that she had other intentions. Op replied, I just find it strange that she would blame me for not letting her see my child while being fine with X not wanting to be more involved. It doesn't add up. That's when you find a man without kids yet, or one who's an involved dad if she has kids. Was she just going to run away with the baby? She was like trying to kidnap this kid? Big if true. Crazy if true. Yeah, but obviously, not the a-hole. Like, you're not going to give your freaking kid away to there's like we talked about earlier, there's different situations where maybe, yeah, sure, you could take the kid away to Disneyland for a couple days. I don't know. I'd like to meet you first kind of a thing, but yeah, I feel so bad for people who have to co-parent with idiots. If you're out there and you have to co-parent with an idiot, I feel so bad for you. And you know what? Just for this one, we're not done yet, by the way. We're going to do a quick eye bleach. Well, here we go. Here's oh, yeah. Oh, we got a big old puppy, dude. Sniffing that butterfly. Looks like a Scooby. I just want to rub the top of his head and watch his ears flop around like, like blah, 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 blah. You know what I'm talking about? And then we got a tiny little doggy. Oh! Izzy Pug puppy flashback with her peanut butter paws on display. Whoa, part 2. Cats rock. All right. AITA for refusing to break up with my girlfriend because my dad got engaged to her mom. No. That's enough of that, right? I, 17 male, started dating my girlfriend Noah, 17 female, 18 months ago, a year and a half. A few months after we started dating, we found out my dad and her mom were dating. We hadn't done the meet the parent kid stuff yet, and when we did, it's how we found out. My dad and Noah's mom were angry when they realized Noah and me were dating. They told us we needed to end it because the two of them were serious about it. I told Dad I love Noah and wouldn't break up with her for any dumb reason. Yeah, 17. You've been dating for a year and a half. You're passionate, you know? But I guess it would make family reunions a little awkward down the road if things didn't work out. Like every time you see your stepsister, if your parents get married, that's also your ex. My dad and Noah's mom tried to make things awkward for us. They started calling us siblings and introducing us to each other as step siblings. What? That's stupid. They even talked about trying IVF to have a baby together. But me and Noah kept dating. We made them uncomfortable every time we kissed or held hands. You guys dated first. Y'all were dating first, dude. Dibs. What happened to dibs, dude? What happened to freaking dibs? Then the awkwardness for my dad and Noah's mom went up when they found out we were each other's first time. Bro, wow. This is crazy. So you two and both of your parents are in a game of chicken right now. Of like who can weird the other one out. This is such a weird, this is a movie right here. I want the rights to this movie. I want to see this. And not a Skinamax movie either. I'm talking a real one. They didn't move together as soon as they wanted because they didn't want us living together, but then they decided the societal pressure to break up would increase if we lived as siblings. It didn't. So then they got engaged, but we're still together. Wait, so y'all are living together now? You and your girlfriend? Sick. My dad and her mom are more persistent now because they don't want us to be dating at their wedding and they want to get married before summer next year. Whatever. I mean, dude, you can't. Also, it's a genetic thing, right? It's almost a good sign that your dad and her mom genetically are attracted to each other so much so, and they're so in love that they want to get married. Maybe you guys also in this circumstance because you dated first. You're just mirroring each other's desires in a way. I don't know. I can't feel too. They try to make us feel weird about being together, but I don't. She's not my sister. She's not my sibling, and even if my dad marries her mom, she won't be family like they think. To get back at them, Noah pretended we were going to elope once we're both 18, which is a few months away since we share a birthday month. My dad didn't freak out, but her mom did, and she called us sick and disgusting, and she told us their relationship should take priority over ours. AITA. Nah, she's just a little insecure about it. The mom is like really insecure and she can't wrap her head around it. Like, I think maybe she wants to be able to treat you like her stepson and not like her son-in-law. Maybe she fantasized about having a boy, a young man in her life that she could be a stepmother to. And I don't know what's going on in their heads, but this is like, because you guys are almost 18 is what I'm saying. You've been dating for a year and a half. You're almost 18. You're almost grown adults. And you dated first. What are you going to do? That's on them, dude. They just got to decide to be comfortable with it because there's nothing. It's an easy thing. They actually started dating first. That's all you got to say. Technically, their stepbrother, stepsister, they started dating first. What are you going to do? Call an Alabama wedding. Like, yeah, we're a bit of an Alabama family. The thing is, though, here's the problem and this is the bigger concern, is that if things don't work out, right, between you and Noah, if things don't work out, meaning if you don't get married, which, you're 17, you've only been dating for a year and a half, chances are pretty, you got a 20% chance of actually going the distance, but I don't know. And that's not even for me to say. Maybe you guys are, might actually do it. You might actually go the distance. Who knows? What I mean by that is like get married, But if you guys ever split, it's going to be really weird. It's going to be very weird around the dinner table. But then again, you're about to turn 18, so you can plan when to visit, and maybe, if you understand your parents' dynamic, you can be really amicable about a split up, and you can be like, all right, sis, knuckle bump and get out of there, But no, this is, they're worried about the optics, and it's not real. It's not blood. It's all, you guys dated first. I got to keep saying that. You guys dated first. So none of what they're worried about matters. None of it matters. Figure it out. Be weird. Be unique. The fact that you guys don't care is funny, dude. That's hilarious. Let's see what the comments here have to say. NTA, but I think you and your girlfriend should post online for family to see something about your 1.5 year anniversary. Yes. Publicly call dibs, dude. Post a lot about how long you've been dating. Always reference the timeline, so when friends and family see this, they will begin to do the math that your relationship is older than your parents' relationships. That way, your parents will be considered the weird ones for dating their children's respective parents. Yeah, dude, everybody's playing a game of like tug of war here. It's like, mine, no, mine. Who cares? You're not dating each other, just let it. I don't know, man. I'm weird, though. I'm weird. NTA, they're the one making it weird for F's sake. And I bet they'll be shocked when you both turn 18, go to college or whatever, and go low contact or no contact with them. When they wake up one day and neither of their children speak to each other, it will be their own fault. They are sickos. You're not related, and you didn't grow up together. You met when you were 17, not 7. They should keep their porn, rot brains, and selfishness out of your relationship. Also, them trying to challenge the sex drive of teenagers is a choice. That feels like it's straight out of a bad plot line on Riverdale. Good luck trying to convince teenagers to not be horny for each other by telling them that it's wrong and that they shouldn't be doing it or each other at all. Stuff like this happens all the time in smaller communities or even bigger cities ever so often. Their parents having hang-ups about this is more of a red flag than their own relationship, and the OP shouldn't feel any shame or have any reservations about their far, far more stable relationship with the girlfriend at all. So Op should totally, as the Grim Reaper once said, get down with your bad self and carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay away to rest. Oh, I started playing Come Sail Away on a synthesizer. That's not at all the song. Because there's only going to be peace when their parents are done and have laid their weary tryst to rest. Heads? NTA at all, period. Step siblings aren't siblings in any legal sense. It's a term created to describe a relationship in a blended family. There are no bars to relationships or marriage, and there have been many cases where parents get together with their kids' partners present. With their kid's partner's parent. Most times it's just a fun fact, but sometimes the parents try to make it as weird as they are doing here. All they're doing is pushing you two closer together. There's nothing like us against the world to keep people together. That's so true, dude. That is so true. Us against the world is a great way to bond with somebody. You know what I mean? I didn't know that you're not siblings in any legal sense if you're a step sibling. And then Op replied, they said, funniest part is they make it weirder for themselves than for us. The more they've pushed, the more unhappy they become that we're still together and we're over here loving each other, not feeling uncomfortable by our relationship. The only discomfort comes from the adults. Yeah, I don't know. They need to read a book or something. Go to counseling or something. They need a pep talk from smarter people. That's all I got to say about that. Nah, dude, live your life. Let it be freaking weird. You only get one of these lives, dude. And you guys, you're each other's first love. You've been dating for 18 months. You like how it is. And the fact that your parents also like each other tells me there's something in them pheromones, man, that just magnets together. Your parents got to figure this out because it's going to be awkward. It's going to be awkward for them, I guess. But like, if you guys split, it'll be a little complicated, but, so will if your parents split. I think maybe they're worried about fallout if one of you breaks up. That's what I would be more worried about. But this dating for 18 months, you dated first, you're 17, you're almost 18. No big deal. All right. Hey, if you're watching, marry your step-sibling and get a dog. Outro! Hey! Whoa!